now I want to start cutting this piece in, or not in, but cutting the piece out that this will fit into. So basically what I want to do now is I don't know, it looks like I'm losing access to this 140 millimeter fan with this thing in there, which is kind of sad. I might still be able to get it implemented in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I will do my best to try, because I do want that 140 millimeter fan in the back. I probably still will be able to use a 120, but 140 is just kind of what I want. Now if I keep this leveled out like that, then I could fit it, but then that's kind of tacky because it's leveled out. There's not really any way to reverse this but to reverse the bends, and seeing how all the bends are, I don't really see reversing this thing being a good idea, because the bends are kind of intricate. So what I'm going to do now is basically start to cut out the piece for this to cave into, which is going to be kind of tough, I think, especially this rounded edge right here. So what we're going to do that, to make a straight edge, one of the best ways I can see to do that, tape. So tape is nice because it keeps its shape, comes off easy. Now you have to be careful which kind of tape you use. I would say painter's tape is roughly the best tape to use because it keeps a straight edge pretty damn good, like almost perfect straight edge. I wouldn't suggest using electrical tape because electrical tape has the tendency to bend and stretch, which can definitely give you some crooked edges. So basically we're just going to cut as close as we can to this, and we're going to cut basically right to the edge of this, which is going to be kind of scary because it's going to be a very close cut there. And I'm going to have to smooth the edge out and hopefully not mess up too much because I don't want to do too much touch-up painting on the back. Worst comes to worst though, I'll tape everything off and just paint the whole back of it one color and try not to paint the rest of it. So next we're going to do the top part. Because we can basically get it to fit in right here, we're just going to follow that line of this top part. So we're going to cut little by little because, like I said, I don't like to plan shit out ahead of time and take measurements and shit. I like to just start cutting shit and see what happens. That's how I learn. So we're just going to basically snip out this part mainly, and I'll probably cut right here to cut the PCI slots out, just to make sure, just to pull that whole bracket out, and then basically all I have to do left is to size in these extra 2 PCI slots that this has to fit it in. So we're gonna go ahead and start doing that. So rule of thumb when you're doing this random ghetto cutting like I am, just randomly cutting things and hoping things go together, always cut less, because you can always take more off but you can never add more back on. So remember that. Basically I'm going to cut the holes a little bit bigger and then just constantly grind them out a little bit every time I try to fit this plate in until it fully fits in perfectly. That's basically what I'm going to keep doing until I get it right, because like I said, you can take some off but you can't add more back on. And there, I've extended the I/O plate all the way to the edge, which is what I wanted. So really long I/O opening right there. I'm going to start making my way to these PCI slots. So I'm just going to remove this part that I don't have taped off right here, and then like I said, the rest of these will get pulled off, but then I'm going to start shaping it to fit this in there. Since I'm not taking exact measurements and don't have exact cutting tools, I just have a Dremel and a grinder, I'm going to sit here and do it really slow to make sure I get everything right. So for my dilemma with the whole thing, if you guys can see right here, I've already put a little screw in there of holding it still. I'm just going to drill this thing to my freaking table. There's holes at the bottom of the case. I'm going to use those, and I'm going to grab my drill, and I'm just going to drill it to the tape. I like how that whole time I wasn't even filming what I was doing. Whoops. Sorry guys, it was up here. So now we have a giant cutout in the back. I tried to move the case just now, but it's bolted to the table. So we're going to pop this in and see exactly where we are on our cut. Like I said, this is how I like to do things when I don't plan ahead. And I really, like I said, I'm in a hurry. I don't feel like sitting here taking measurements and making sure everything's... I don't care about that. So, yeah, that's looking good. Let me pop the camera off and show you guys the back part. Alrighty. Bam. So as you can see, we're gonna need to cut out right here to get those rest of those PCI slots showing. That's why I'm saying I might lose access to this 100 or this span in general. which is a very shitty situation. Maybe I can cut out this whole square and put my own personal fan grill in from something else. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I'm gonna do that. That's a lot of work for just one fan. And this thing supports so many other fans. But yeah. So I need to shave down right here. Obviously I need to clean up all this right here, right there, and all that right there. So that'll all get cleaned up because you can see it's like sticking up a little bit. So I had to clean all that up. I'm gonna have to cut the top up a little bit, and I need to shave down this side right here so I can get that PCI slot to come all the way through. And yeah, it's coming together nicely. It's working out pretty good. I might keep it bolted to the table for now because I might have some more stuff I need to do with it. I've done a little trace cutout of basically that top edge and rounded and how much extra I need to push it up to get this piece to fit in, because I know I'm installing it to the back, but I'm doing that as a reference. So this is actually going to be pushing in this way. I'm not going to push it in from the back. It's actually be covering it this way. And the main reason why is because this bracket rounding parts right here like this will cover up harsh edges that are made when I do the cutting. So that's why I want to push it in. Not to mention it just makes more sense. It'll just look better. So we're going to start doing that. Alright you guys, so my camera died, so I don't have a lot of time, so I make this quick. So here it is, not finished obviously. I still got to round off the edges and you know what I mean, do some little touch-up painting. But bam, it fits in. This is a little wobbly because there's going to be a screw right here. I'll drill a little hole right here, put a screw there. I can still have the 120mm fan. I'm just going to have to shave this edge right here so I can get the screw for a fan. And as you can see, it's latching into the motherboard tray. It's hard to focus, I guess. Latching into the motherboard tray, and bam. So let's turn it and get a little bit of a further back view, and bam. I'm gotta paint everything though and get everything else ready. Alright you guys, so I got it all cleaned up for the most part and painted. I started with the like little flat black. It's really flat, of course. But as we can see, the case has somewhat of a shine on it because it's got a matte clear coating or matte black on it. I don't have any matte clear coating or matte black paint, but I like to clear coat everything anyways because honestly that clear coat gives it some really good extra protection. It's one thing I've learned with spray painting: clear coat everything. Just make sure that if you don't want it glossy, grab matte or flat clear coat. But anyways, this is clear coated with a satin because that's all I have, but it still looks pretty good. It's a little shinier than the case, but that's fine with me. So that's the motherboard tray. And I know it's a little curvy, but I honestly do not care how even this is. First off, the motherboard will be covering most of this up. And second off, while I'm doing this, my computer is not working because I'm using my old case to basically build the new case. And basically I want to get this done as quick as possible. Look at my cutting. There's the cut right there for the new tray to go in, and then obviously the sawed out or the cut out parts that you guys saw me do earlier. But this actually also can still use a 120mm fan. I saved the hole right here, the mounting hole. So I had to clean the edges up here, around here, and then along the bottom, clean them up a little bit, and then I'll throw a quick little coat of flat black over it just to cover up the shiny silver. But yeah, my computer is not working and not functioning, so by the time you guys see this video, all of this will already be done. The computer will be done. But I just wanted to give you guys updates on it, obviously. But yeah, that's the main reason that this motherboard isn't straight. I could sit here with a straight edge and grind it straight, and, you know what I mean, but like right here it's got a lip. But I just don't care. I just want it back together and I want it working. It doesn't have to be a perfect mod for me. It's not really going to bother me. This is the inside of the case and the back of the case anyways. But yeah, we'll come back with some more updates as soon as I get them. Alright, so for painting these panels, by the way, guys, I'm going to give you a little tip on it. So I did take a little bit of 1000 grit sandpaper just to kind of rough up the clear coat or whatever coat. I'm pretty sure they put a clear coat on this to make it shine. To rough up the coating on this, basically to get the paint to adhere to it better, because I am not going to be using primer. Like I said, I have my computer down at the moment and I really want it working again. It's hard not to be able to game or edit or post videos or even respond to YouTube comments. I have a laptop. because I've used this computer, I don't like touching that laptop anymore. So anyways, I have some flat paint. One thing you can do, say you didn't sand it, there is issues with paint basically forming up in little, let's see if we can actually see it here. It's going to be a little tough to see, but this was just some test spraying I did on something, basically different types of metals to see how it adheres to similar metal computer. But it's hard to see, but basically what we're getting is like the little, not bubbling, but it's like when you pour water on an oil spot, the water forms around the oil spot. Basically you can get that on these nice shiny clear coats, so the best thing to do is to sand it first. Not too heavy of a grit because then you'll put scratches, but something to rough up the surface. But another thing you can actually do to help basically get the paint to adhere to it is do multiple light coats. So basically what you can do is this, and if we just kind of like, if you guys see, it's getting like a smoked look. What that'll end up doing, at least in my experience, I don't know, someone may be more of a spray paint pro than I am, but I have done a ridiculous amount of spray paint. In fact, if you look in my closet there, and it's not even fully open, there is just dozens of spray paint cans. I have a lot of spray paint cans. From painting custom metal parts, plastic parts for bikes and trucks, to straight up painting full on engines, I use spray paint because it's easier. I have a spray gun somewhere, but it's a bitch and a half to clean, and the paint's very expensive, so I'm not going to waste it on this. But basically, if I let this coat dry, it'll give it more of a rough feeling, and then the next coat of paint will be able to be laid on thick, and it'll look more of a, you won't get those weird looking mismatched patches of color bleeding through or crazy bubbles. So what you can do, like I said, just kind of give it a mist over of the paint and just kind of smoke it out with the color. This also helps with coverage along white paint. So basically I don't have to cake the paint on thick just to get it to cover the white paint. You spray a nice thin smoked coating over of whatever color you want, but obviously black and white are like complete opposites, so this is going to be one of the better methods to doing this, at least in my opinion. So we're going to basically spray a thin coat. Another thing that actually helps a lot too, I'm pretty sure a lot of people that mess with spray paint know this, shake your can very frequently. Honestly, sometimes you won't really notice a difference in it, but if you want to make sure you're not getting any crazy types of mishaps and mess ups, shake your can constantly. Never just hold the spray can over it and yada yada. Honestly, like I said, I don't really care too much. So that's my first smoke coating over them, you guys. And I'm going to come back and throw down a thick coating that's going to basically give full coverage over everything. And then after that dries, I'm going to throw on probably 1 or 2 coats of clear coat to fully seal it. Like I said, the clear coat just makes it very durable. That's why I like clear coating everything. And I'll probably be putting this back together while it's still slightly wet because, like I said, I don't like waiting. So, yeah. But now I'm going to work on that case and work on smoothing out the edges. Alright, so for shaving down these edges, trimming them up a little bit, I'm going to use my simple, just little circle grinder. I don't need to push the case down and bolt it down or anything because honestly I can hold the Dremel with one hand. The only thing I like holding the grinder with 2 hands because I've had incidents where it almost got out of my hands before, so safety first, guys. So we're going to clean up these edges real quick. Alright, there we go. That's good enough in my opinion. So like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want my computer back together. So now I'm going to grab some sandpaper. Well, I can't find my special sandpaper. I have some 40 grit around here somewhere that basically I just use it to take off extra chunks of metal that are still lingering. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I found my 40 grit. This is some hardcore sandpaper. You don't need it this big though. But I just take it and I do that. Just kind of scrape at it real quick. Kind of gets the jaggies out of the way. Any like really jaggy parts that were still sticking on there, kind of make it a little bit of a smoother surface. A little easier to deal with. So there we go. So now it's actually pretty smooth. Like I mean, unless I really try to, I'm not going to cut myself on that. And honestly, most of this is going to be covered anyways, as you guys saw the way that the I/O plate and PCI slots bracket fits in here. It comes in and covers all the edges around here. You'll probably won't see that till the build is done, but because I'm painting them right now. So I'm going to just take my 220 just to make sure, get it nice and fine as I can, I guess. So basically, if you guys can see right here, it's like a metal color and it's not the black anymore. I don't care about any of this stuff. All this stuff's going to be covered up once I put the motherboard in. But this stuff right here is through the back, and as you can see, I even came up a little bit right here. It's a little scuffed up. So I'm not sure right now. I'm going to see if I can wipe that down a little bit, because it looks like it's just from the tape. I'm not sure. But if it doesn't come off, I might end up painting the whole back to get it to match. But if this does come off, then I'm just going to do a touch-up paint with black paint, because it'll be less noticeable that it's a different color if it's just touched up. So we're going to go ahead and get down to doing that. Alright, so to paint this stuff without painting the whole freaking case, basically I'm just going to lay some tape down. The best way I can say to do it. Tape it off. Tape everything off except for this one, which is going to be kind of annoying because there's so little on this thing that I actually want to paint. So I'm going to be taping off a lot because I don't, like I said, I don't want to paint the whole back a different color because I don't have a matte clear coat, and without a matte clear coat I'm not really going to be able to match it. And we're just going to tape off right here. Basically let all this stuff right here get a nice little coat. And basically that'll keep me from painting the sides of that. We'll just tape it all the way down to the bottom to make sure I don't get any. Best way to make sure you don't paint anything you don't want to. Tape the whole thing off. So this is rather unfortunate. It seems that I have scratched the crap out of the outer ridge right here of this case. You guys can see, which is pretty unfortunate because I don't know which is on the top. No, that's gonna be the back side of it, so I don't really care too much. So from now on, I guess I'm gonna be doing this on a fucking towel because I just noticed that. So this part of it is exposed, this little piece right here, so I don't want to scratch that anymore. So maybe I should have just left the bottom on the case, but no, I needed to be turning the case inside out, upside down, so it wouldn't have been a good idea. Alright, so I've taped the living shit out of this thing, as you guys can see, because I really don't want flat black. And I just threw a towel down to cover up the edges that I don't want the overspray to fall on. And I don't care about this towel, so I mean, I suggest you don't spray paint on a towel you care about. So we're going to take my handy dandy cheap can of spray paint, because I'm out of expensive flat black spray paint, but it's flat black and you're clear coating it, so honestly it doesn't really matter. I won't be clear coating this, but I'm saying for the other parts I was doing. So all we're going to do, it's a lot of tape just to cover up these little pieces, but all I want to do is get rid of the silver accents that you see from me grinding away at it. Alright you guys, so I'm going to show you a little bit. When doing clear coats, you want to make sure that, it's hard to explain, you want to, I don't really care about this, so I don't care how clean my clear coat looks, but if you really want a nice clear coat, have a fan blowing over this to stop settling dust. Another thing you can do also is when you spray this on, don't spray from, don't spray extremely close, but don't spray from really far, because what you don't want is this. See how it's like thinned out over here? That'll dry with a texture, and you do not want that. So to fill the texture in, you want to make sure that you cover the whole board to where it's like smooth and wet looking. Now the issue with doing this is it is very easy to overspray clear coat and start getting drips. But you want to make sure that you have good coverage over the whole thing, because if you do not, you'll get those texture feelings in your clear coat. Like I said, I don't give a shit about this, but if you want your clear coat to look nice, that's one step you should definitely take, is make sure that you get a nice solid wet coat over the whole thing. You want to make sure. Once it's wet, you can spray from as far away as you want and it'll automatically seep into it, but you want to make sure you have that nice thick wet coat. Alright you guys, all installed. As you can see, I put my own little custom screws and drilled some custom holes for the screws. Now this fan slot is still usable. I have one of the little rubber fan dangler thingies, and it actually still sticks in just fine. You just can't use the screw there. But the color match actually came out good. It actually looks really good in person too, surprisingly enough. I know in camera everything's always going to look a little better, but yeah, that's it. Now this thing supports full-size ATX motherboards, so basically all that's left to do is install it and show you guys the finished product.